Hey guys, welcome back to the Food Lab. We are on the quest for burger perfection, and for me that means starting with some well-marbled ribeye steaks. Hand minced for perfect consistency and with the help of a few friends. Including, of course, Bourbon-Braised slab bacon. I'm going to be showing you how to stuff each patty with a delicate nugget of braised bacon, and then I'm going to bathe each patty in hot butter. Does it get any better? Of course it does. Blue-brie cheese under the broiler with these burgers, between challah bread, Boston Bibb lettuce, and on top of a cloud of bourbon béarnaise. You are going to die for this burger. Stay tuned and I'll see you in the kitchen. So the first step of braising your slab bacon is to render it. I'm going to render the fat, I'm going to save the fat, use that to sear my burgers. But here we go. I have my Dutch oven, it's about medium heat. I'm just going to put it in there, and just let that, in a few minutes you'll see all the fat sort of leach out of it. We'll come back to it. The next step of braising your slab bacon is to pull out this rendered fat that I'm going to use later. So basically, whatever's in there, I'm just going to pour off into this. I'm going to save that. That's yummy, yummy stuff. Okay. Now, I'm going to put these pieces of bacon back in the pan, and then I'm going to add some chopped onions. Okay. My braising liquid. Jim Beam, a little bourbon. Probably about a cup. Apple cider. About a cup of that as well. Okay. And then real maple syrup. I'm only going to put about 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces in there. Now this beautiful pot is going to sit and simmer. I'm going to turn this down because it's boiling rather rapidly. I'm going to turn it down to where it's just so. And I'm going to cover it. And we'll get back to that in about an hour, hour and a half. So instead of going out and buying 85% lean ground beef or a 75-25 blend, I've decided I'm going to buy some steaks and chop them up myself. So the first thing you want to do is pick a cut of steak that is, well, fattier. I prefer a fattier burger because I find the moisture is just incomparable. So I'm using ribeye today, and I've cut off a lot of the outer layer of fat there, and this is what I've ended up with. Basically, you want your knife to be very, very sharp, and if you would like a very, very sharp knife, you can find one that is identical to this in the Food Lab store. So, you just want to take long, very, very long and thin strips off of your steak here. Keep it nice and thin. I like to cut it on the bias, meaning on an angle, because that way I'm cutting through more of the grain. In the end, you're going to be basically pulverizing this stuff, and it won't matter too much, but any head start that you can get on tenderizing this meat will help in the end. So, you have your nice long strips. Then you want to take each strip, slice it into even finer strips, just like that. So you're almost julienning. And then you want to stack your julienne strips of steak there and cut very, very, very thinly, just like that. Now, you're going to find that this is much more difficult than just using ground beef. So if you really wanted to, you could go out and get your own ground beef. I would strongly advise against buying a frozen patty, buying anything that's too lean. Stay away from your 90-10. I would go 85% lean or lower. So you're going to run your knife through this a couple more times until it is at a point in which you can basically mold it into a smooth mass. So once you can do that, then you're ready to add it to the rest of your meat. So after about 2 hours, the slab bacon has surrendered to the liquid in which it has been braised, so I'm going to take it out of this pan. The smell is killing me and everybody else in this food lab. So basically 2 forks will do the trick. You're just going to take it and shred it into oblivion. And if you have braised your bacon long enough, it will submit hastily. Hey guys, so I've got my bacon slab braised and shredded. My burger meat has been mixed. It has rested in the refrigerator. It's cooled down. So basically the first thing you have to do is make 2, for each burger, make 2 identical 2 to 3 ounce patties, okay? So the same width, the same thickness. Take an egg and put it right in the middle, and roll it around a little bit on both of them. Okay. Take a pinch of this bacon, slap it right there. Carefully pick up your top patty, lay it on top of the other, and then just sort of seal up your edges here. So you kind of want to have a consistently cylindrical burger. So we're talking about a wall all the way around, and we're not talking about one of these hilly things. You know, just sort of get it there and shape it with your hands gently until it is a cylinder. So that is going to be the best shape for the end result of your burger. It's not going to shrink up and do all these crazy shape-shifting things. So there you have it. I would gently put this onto a plate and get it ready for cooking. So the first part of making your bourbon béarnaise is to make a reduction of shallot. I have a pan here, a little bit of olive oil. It's on low heat. I just want to sweat, I don't want to sear. To this I'm going to add just that much tarragon. Rip it in half, throw it in there, let that go. And some peppercorns, about a tablespoon of whole peppercorns. In a few minutes, when the shallots have become a translucent color, I'm going to add the bourbon and vinegar. I'll show you how to do that in a second. So the next step of the béarnaise reduction is to add your bourbon. This is a little bit of a deglaze. Just a couple tablespoons in there. And you want to get this down to what the French call au sec, which is almost dry. This champagne vinegar is just for a little bit of acidity. And this liquid is going to take the dry ingredients the rest of the way. And then I'll show you how to assemble the bourbon-braised in a minute. So the final step of your béarnaise is assembly. Basically, I have separated 6 egg yolks into this metal bowl. And I've whisked them until they have all broken and lightened in color. And there's a little bit of air bubbles in there. If you look closely, you can see the air bubbles. I have 3 sticks of butter, which I have clarified. For each stick of butter, you want to use about 2 egg yolks, if anybody's keeping score. And this liquid, which I strained from the bourbon reduction with the shallot and the champagne vinegar and all that. So basically, I want to add a little bit of this into the egg yolk while I'm mixing. And I want to get the egg yolk slightly cooked. This is, we're tempering. So basically, I'm going to put this over a pot of boiling water. There's about 1 inch of water in there. It's simmering. And I'm just going to whisk my yolks with fervor. Whisk them with the intention of bringing air into the egg yolk. And basically you want to slowly curdle your egg yolk using the steam from the bottom underneath the bowl. My yolks have whitened, very much lightened in color. They're no longer that deep yellow yolk, basically the next step is to slowly add my clarified butter. You may remember a similar technique in the make your own mayonnaise section of the 3-O burger, Food Lab's very first production. So basically, you want to very, very slowly drizzle your butter in. If you introduce your fat too quickly, your emulsion will break. So as you're mixing this and your mixture begins to thicken, you want to use the rest of the strained liquid to thin it out, but only a little bit at a time. So you're basically bringing it back to a medium consistency and then thickening it back up with more butter. So I'm going to add the rest of this butter here. This is getting quite thick. Let's get it off the heat. Okay, that's rather perfect. Okay, to this I will add some kosher salt to season. Remember, there's 6 egg yolks, 6 very, very unseasoned and very bland egg yolks in there, so you need to compensate for that. And I'm going to finish with chive for a little bit of color and crunch. And then I'm going to taste this for its acidity. I'm going to liven it up with just a bit of fresh bourbon, just a splash. Oh, wow. Okay, and a little bit more of that vinegar, just a splash. Okay. Okay, that's where that needs to be. Perfect. So after you form your beautiful bacon stuffed patties, your next step is to sear them. What you're going to do is get a generous amount of butter in there, and then make sure you season your burgers. Just sort of lay them in there. You don't want the butter to be too ridiculously hot because you're going to cook your burgers through in the pan. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt my pan, pick up some butter, and just sort of baste it over top of these burgers. The final step is assembly. I have a beautiful brioche bun here that I've toasted in the butter that was left over after I seared the burgers. If you want to, the perfect thing to do would be to strain that fat off and then put it back into the pan a little bit at a time. So I got this beautiful golden brown universal symbol of deliciousness. This Bernaise, which I made from the bourbon champagne vinegar, that's the top. I'll put this on the bottom. Just a little bit of that Bernaise. Silky, buttery goodness. Let's do this Boston Bibb lettuce. A couple of these Boston Bibb leaves and some of this onion. Sliced onion. This is a Bermuda onion. Just find the sweetest onion that you possibly can and slice that up. These burgers that I stuffed with the braised bourbon bacon, I've topped with a blue-brie. So it's a cross between a blue cheese and a brie. I said I can't decide whether, to use brie or blue. So hey, let's find both in one. Final thing, you may remember this neat little guy from the Italian chicken sandwich that we did a few episodes ago. This is just crispy prosciutto that it's like perfect. Put that right on. And then top it with your bun onto your plate, and I have these beautiful potato sticks that basically I took a mandolin and shredded them, julienne them down to a very, very fine, it's your potato haystack thing, and just a handful of that right on top. There you go. And there you have it, my friends. The Bourbon-Braised Bacon bursting brie and blue burger with Bernaise and Boston Bibb and Bermuda onions. You get the point. Check it out. See you in the kitchen.